Hi, this is PD at BurgZerg at BurgZerg and this is tutorial 236. Now, in our last tutorial, we went over a quick, a brief introductory to the UI toolkit, basically where to go get it, how to download it, and we looked at a couple examples. Today, we're actually going to go ahead and use the UI toolkit. Now, I'm going to assume that you've already gone ahead and watched the two tutorials that Prime 31 has put out. We're going to go ahead and use what we've learned in those tutorials and create some health bars. So let's start off. I'm going to open up Unity, and I'm actually just going to create a new project. So I'm just going to hit create new, and well, what do I want? Let's set it. I'll just put it on the desktop for now, and I'm just going to call it my GUI. And this is where I'm just going to test out all my GUI ideas. I want it in a separate project. Just so it doesn't clutter up my main project that I have to go through after, and I've got stuff in there that I'm not going to use, and I just want to keep it clean. Now I've not gone ahead and created a package yet for the UI toolkit, but that's something I should do, as it would make it very easy. I could just import it right now. But as it is, I've got my project created, and I'll just open it up. Now I'm going to go off screen. If you opened up the your folder you got from the download, we could go ahead, open that up, and look at the assets, and grab this plugin folder, and we'll just drag that actually into our project. I'll close that down. This is all the files you actually need for UIToolkit to work, and actually that is pretty much it. So let's start off. Let's make the health bars. Now, of course, the graphics that you want to represent your health bar is going to be different for every game. So basically, just pick the ones that, or design the ones that you actually like. For me, I'm just going to use some static bars that just go across the screen. So I'm actually going to use the ones that come with Prime again. For now, let's go ahead and open up Texture Packer. Now, Texture Packer we did not cover in the last tutorial, and it's because he covers it in his two tutorials, or at least at the beginning of the first one. And there's a link in the thread where to go get it. It is free. You'll come to this screen. You can either buy a license, which was, I believe, $20. And of course, if you have the license, then you can install it, or you can just use the Essential. For everything we're going to be doing, you can just use the Essential. But then again, if you really do like the package, go ahead. It's only $20. I believe it was $20. I have to check just to make sure, but it's not that expensive, and it actually really is a very good tool. So I'm actually going to go ahead and I'll show you where these files are that I'm going to be using. Texture Packer source image. And the one I'm going to be using is, I think it was kitchen sink buttons. And speak of the devil. I'll read that later. We wanted something like a progress bar. We'll just take a look. That's kind of progress bar-y. I think there was actually a better one called progress bar. Yes, there is. There's a progress bar, and there's also a progress bar border. I'm going to grab both of these files, and just so you can see a little bit better, I'm going to take them and drag them into this right pane over here. And if I just close this up, you'll see that it actually automatically gets added here. Now I'm going to turn off this auto size and manually select it to be the size that I want. I'm actually going to maximize the screen just so I can see a bit better. That's a little bit big. I'm going to come down and increase my padding by 1 on each. It helps if I... Yeah, that's still... Like, there are more things I'm going to add, and in his tutorial he was talking about creating a 2x version. I'm not going to worry about the 2x version right now. I want my basic version up and running. Then I'll start worrying about scaling to different sizes, because right now I'm not planning on putting it on a mobile device, although I think it is quite capable of running on a mobile device. I do have a different train system, so I'm not using the Unity one, and I have put builds on my wife's Android device, so it's something to look at in the future, but for now I'm not too worried about it. I just want to get my health bar up and running. So I am actually going to make these smaller. There we go, 256 by 256. We got our padding. Let's scroll down, just like they did in the other tutorial. I'm going to go ahead, select JSON, select my data path, and I'm going to come into my folder here, which is my GUI, go into Assets, and create a folder called Resources. and call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it, I don't know, GOI Sheet. Yeah, let's call it Sheet. And of course, we'll save that. It's going to save the JSON file off for you. Not yet, but you know, you can see how it sets it up. And of course, come down here. You can pick the type you want. Since we're going to want the transparency, I'm just going to stick to PNG. And image format, I'm going to leave that as well. The texture file already has the right name. Everything seems fine. So I'm going to come up and hit File and Publish or Command P. Go ahead, hit it. That should be done. So I'm just going to close it. I'm not going to save. And of course, as soon as I click back into Unity, we see we have a resources folder. And inside of there, we have our GUI sheet. And I'm going to go ahead and set it to be clamp. And GUI. I'm actually going to set the size manually as well. I'll hit apply. And remember, we actually have to rename this, especially if you want to work with the Android system. So I'm just going to right click on it, hit Reveal in Finder. And we change the name to TXT. I'll use the TXT version. That's everything we need to do there. Another thing you might want to look at is notice how we got these two images on one sheet, which is only 4K on the disk. And if we open up the other one and we looked at these files, well, I forget what they were in over here. Progress bar, 4K, progress bar, 4K. So you notice by combining them, we do have a lot more room. We can actually really save on the memory that's needed. So let's go ahead, we'll close that down. We got all that set up. All right, so let's come in. The first thing we're gonna have to do is set up a layer. So I'm gonna create a new game object. I'm actually gonna create two of them. So I'm just gonna take the first one and duplicate it. And this one here I'm gonna call UIToolkit. And then I'm gonna change the layer. We'll have to add one. And I'm just going to call mine UI layer. It really doesn't matter what you call it. I believe he used UI layer. The main thing is you want to know what it was called, so you can set this to it. And then in your camera object, come down to the culling masks and make sure that's unchecked. All right, now since we're still working with the UI toolkit here, let's go ahead and open up plugins. And there's two scripts we got to add. We got to add, whoops, I clicked the wrong button. We have to add UI, and in his video I believe that's all he added. And we'll go ahead while it's open and select the layer that we need for our UI layer, which is, well, UI layer. See, there's nothing here we actually have to select. I'm not going to bother playing with the HD version. Yeah, I'm not going to bother playing with any of the other settings. But the other script we're going to need is UIToolkit, and we'll drag that on. And it's going to ask for material and also for the texture packer config name. Now the texture packer config name is just whatever you named your file. So I named mine GOI Sheet. So GOI Sheet. Let's see, we're not going to bother with displaying the touches, but the material we are going to have to create. So I'm just going to come in here and just create a material. There we go. And I'm just going to call this UI Toolkit Material. And we'll get two new shaders. If you come down here, you'll notice that there's a UI Toolkit menu option. And we have the alpha enabled, so you'll actually have some transparency and no alpha, which won't have any transparency. For our stuff, we're going to want the transparency, at least for now. So we're going to go ahead and select this one. And then select our UI Toolkit game object again. And we'll just drag this over to the material. Great. So let's come up here. I'm going to select this new game object that we have up here with nothing on it. And I'm just going to change this to Healthbar. I'm actually going to save my scene while I'm here, just in case something crashes or goes wrong. So I'm going to expand it, create a new folder. I'm just going to call Scenes. In case for some reason I want to have different scenes in this demo. And I'm just going to call this Healthbar. we'll just click back down here. It did not load up. If we click and refresh, reload, there we go. The health bar scene. And of course, make sure you're in it. I'm going to right click on here. Actually, we got to make the script first. So I'm just going to create my script. Of course, it's going to be a C# script, and I'm just going to call it Healthbar with a capital H. And we'll just double click it. And that'll open up MonoDevelop. I did not have it open ahead of time. And once it's opened up, I'm just going to go ahead and change the name. And I'll keep both functions to start off with. I'm going to get rid of the comment though. Great. Now the first thing I'm going to want to do is set up the little health bar. Now the health bar is the exact same thing as the progress bar in his demo. So if you really want, you can go look at the code that he has for his progress bar, and we can just modify from that. But let's go ahead and write it up. Now mine will be a little bit different. The first thing I'm going to want to do is actually create a static instance of our health bar, because I'm going to want to be able to access this this health bar from outside of the script itself for adjusting the value. Now, it may actually come to the point where I want to completely encapsulate it and not have it exposed. I'm still not really sure. Actually, for now, just for the demonstration purposes, let's keep it unexposed. So I'm going to just start off by creating a private. It's a UI progress bar. If I could spell it right. Here we go. And I'm just going to call it health. And well, that's actually it for that. I'm going to come down to my start function now. And I actually want to create the health bar part here now. So I'm just going to say health is equal to UI progress bar. Now we're going to want to hit the create method here. And then type in the name, oh, excuse me, the name of the default image you want to use, and then the frame image. So this is like the bar that actually moves. And if you have a frame, as you see down here, or borders it's called, you'll want to put that in as well. I'm just going to leave those blank just for now. Just go through the variables. Now you're going to have to input a bar, which is the middle piece here that slides back and forth. You're going to want to have its X position and then a Y position. And this is really dependent on the actual size of your graphics. Since I'm actually using his graphics for this right now, I can just go ahead and actually use the values he had in his script, which I believe was 5 for the X and 3 for the Y. And then when we come over and take a look at the next variable we need to know where the border position is going to start. So we need the X position for that and the Y position. And I believe he just had 0 and 0. And then we have to come in here and put the names in. And if you're not sure what the names were, I've already closed down my texture packer, but if I had it open, it's the exact same names that were in there. But I did close them, and you might be able to actually access them through the sheet here. Yes, you can. Great, so now I don't even have to worry about typing them out right. I can just cut and paste them in. So that's the actual, the bar, the health bar. And then we have the border. So I'm going to go, oops, actually you do need the PNG part. There we go. So we'll just post both of those in. Nothing else we need in there, so I'm just going to close that. And then let's actually set how far across it's going to be on the as far as the health bar goes. So let's basically leave them at 50% health. So we're going to say health dot value is equal to 0.5, and we'll want an F on there because it's a float. Now this is the part I'm still not sure exactly how I want to expose this. If I'm going to have it either just listen for a message, or maybe I'll have some sort of exposed method that takes in a value, or I could just make it static. Like, we've covered a lot of ways to actually accomplish this now, and I just really haven't thought that far ahead to how I want to do it, because there's quite a few different ways and they're all pretty much the same. So let's just go back into Unity, and we have no errors, so let's just start it up. And we did not get anything, so let's go back in. And I forgot to actually tell it where the frame was supposed to start. So I'm just going to come back in and just say health dot position, maybe. And if you notice here, we have a lot of positions for it. We have position center, X, Y. We have a bunch of the from ones, and if you've gone through their tutorial series, or at least the demos that come with this package, you'll see a lot of these used. Now the way I want it is I want my health bar, at least for my user, by default up in the top left corner. And I might later on make it changeable. Maybe they can drag it, put it somewhere else on the screen that's more accommodating for them. But at least for now, I just want the thing up in the left-hand corner. So I'm going to pick this position from left or top left. And when you open this up, we'll notice that it's asking for the border position. Yep, right here. So all we have to pass in there is just basically 2 floats. And I'm not really sure what the values we need are. I'm just going to try 0.01 and 0.01. That should get it off the side enough that we have a little bit of room. And we'll save that off. We'll go back into Unity and let's try this out. So we have no errors. Now when we fire it up, we're still not getting anything. So let me go back in. It helps if I actually attach the script to the game object. Now that's attached, let's fire it back up, and there we go. Now it's over quite a bit more than I wanted. And you notice it doesn't actually auto-update, at least not yet. Let me just go back in and check. And 0.1. There we go. I'm not sure why I put the leading 0, but anyway, if we start it back up now, we'll notice it's a little bit more into the corner for me. Let's test the movement of it. Now to do that, I'm actually going to use the update for this one. Actually, there is one more property here we do want to play around with. And if we go into the health, we're going to want to call the on. Oh, not on. It's resize. Dot resize texture on change. And we want to set this to true. And I think that's everything we need there. Okay, so I'm going to come up here and create another private variable. And this one's going to be of type bool. There we go. And I'm just going to call it grow. And I'm going to start it off as equaling false. And what this variable is going to do is just keep track of what direction my health bar is going. So basically when it's growing, if I start it back up, when it's growing, it's moving in this direction. But it can only go to a size of 1. This is going to be a floating value between 0 and 1. So once it hits 1, it really can't grow anymore. So what I'm going to want to do is just ping pong back to 0. And of course, once it hits 0, I want it to go again. And obviously this isn't the behavior you want in game. But I just want to actually test the movement of the health bar. And sure, I could just sit there and go back into my script and go, okay, let's, he's at 50% health here. Let's give him 90% health and start it up. And there he is at 90% health. But I actually just want to see how smoothly it moves. And it doesn't really take that long. It'll take me longer to explain it than actually code it. But let's just go ahead and do it. So I've gone ahead, I've created this variable, I've made it false. I'm going to come down here and just say if, and then the variable that I called, I'm going to check for a false value. So if basically not growing. And then I'm going to want to check my health. And I want to check the value of that health. And what I want to do is see if it's equal to 0. Because remember I said when it's down at the bottom here, when it's down at the bottom, it can never go past 0. So it can go to 0, but it can't get past it. And likewise with the 1, it can go up to 1, but it can't get past. So we're going to come back in, and we're just going to check to see if it's up to 0, or sorry, if it equals 0. And if it does, then we're just going to say grow is equal to true. So what we're saying is, if the bar was shrinking and we're now at 0, make the bar grow. And then down here we're going to say else if, and to be honest, since we're just doing a copy of this for the most part, we're going to say if the bar is growing and our health is equal to 1, meaning, you know, we've reached the max that we can grow, switch grow to false. There we go. And then under here, I'm just simply going to say, you know, if grow. I want to increase the health value. Someday I'll learn to type. And I just simply want to append some value, random value to it. Let's come up here. We'll just make another variable for it. And I'll just do private. This is going to be of type float. And I'm just going to say val. And I'm just going to start it off making it equal to, oh, I don't know, 0.01, something very small. So it's kind of smooth when it scrolls across the screen. And we'll just say plus equals, so it's going to take the value that your health is at and then add to it. Because remember, you want to add to it because we are growing. So we're just going to add that value to it, whatever we set up that value to be. And if we're not growing, then we've obviously got to be shrinking, right? So we're going to say health.value minus equals, and that exact same value. Okay, barring any typos, I'm going to go back into Unity and we'll just fire it back up. We do have a typo here. And it's because I forgot my underscore. There we go. And let's start it back up. And there we go. Of course, it starts at the value that I started at, and it just bounces back and forth. And it's actually a fairly smooth animation. Now, this package actually does come with animations. I don't want to really get involved in those just yet. I just want to get some basic functionality set up. And as you can see here, we have this nice little health bar going back and forth. I haven't actually checked the licensing on these graphics, so chances are you probably can't use them. But they're not that hard to replicate in Photoshop or GIMP or whatever it is you're using. So go ahead and give it a shot. You know, make your own health bars. Maybe someone in the community will come out and make some really nice health bars and donate them for the rest of us to use. If that's the case, I'll let you know when I get them. But other than that, that's pretty much all I wanted to accomplish in this one, is just to get a health bar up and running. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that favorite button down there and thumbs up the video, and leave a comment below on what you think about this video. It helps me out a lot. Thanks. Bye-bye.